Should the opportunity come in combat, proper application of what is covered here today could mean the difference in your survival. The modern battlefield is an extremely lethal place. In the tank battles of the 1973 Mideast War, both sides sustained devastating losses, in some cases approaching as high as 50% of their total assets in less than 2 weeks of combat. This is cause for serious thought. In Europe, we know that we are outnumbered and outgunned. Therefore, we must accomplish two specific tactical tasks. First, we must see the battlefield. Secondly, we must understand the tactics of the threat force. Seeing the battlefield is the process of terrain analysis and the intelligence estimate. The second step, which must be discussed, is that of tactical employment of the threat force. Today, we will focus our attention on threat offensive capabilities with emphasis on the advance guard and the meeting engagement. I will discuss the characteristics of offensive tactics as envisioned by threat ground forces. Special emphasis will be placed on the actions of the company and battalion. To do this, however, we must understand the basic characteristics of threat doctrine. The first characteristic is that of rapidity. Threat attempts to seize the initiative by quickly launching his attack against an enemy using the element of surprise in an effort to catch his opponent completely unaware or allow him time to react. Once the attack is initiated, the tempo of the attack must be maintained. Threat doctrine calls for rates of advance of 30 to 50 kilometers per day for a regiment in a conventional environment and 60 to 80 kilometers per day in a nuclear environment. The average speed for a BMP-equipped battalion by day are 30 to 40 kilometers per hour, and by night and during periods of limited visibility, 25 to 30 kilometers per hour. To facilitate the maintenance of this tempo, threat artillery is planned to move just ahead of the advancing maneuver force once an assault is made against the FIBA. Massive artillery preparations will last up to 20 minutes under threat doctrine. Threat air or long-range missiles are used against enemy reserves, air defenses, and missile systems. The second characteristic is that of mobility. Threat doctrine, calling for rapid movement, is supported by threat's mechanized force. Threat has completely mechanized its forces and is capable of maintaining the desired rates of advance. Threat has also gained additional mobility with the use of his helicopter force and his air transport force. The third characteristic is that of combined arms. Combined arms is borne out in threats, TO&E, organizations and equipment, and task organization. Motorized rifle divisions has organic tank units, and likewise the tank divisions have organic motorized rifle forces. Threat doctrine states that the use of combined arms and their weapon systems ensure the greatest chance of success. For example, a motorized rifle battalion can expect to receive tanks, engineers, air defense artillery, and other non-organic forces. The threat offense is characterized by massing large forces designed to overwhelm the enemy. A minimum combat ratio of 3 to 1 is desired before launching an attack. This means that a U.S. battalion can expect to be attacked by at least a threat regiment and a U.S. brigade by a threat division. Normal intervals between vehicles is up to 50 meters during their road movement and 50 to 100 meters during tactical cross-country movement. The fifth characteristic is their technological ability. Threat weapon systems are now generally equal to our own in lethality, and in some areas there has been parity. The sixth characteristic is that of pressure. Threat forces will maintain pressure on its leading echelons. They are expected to bypass strong points in order to maintain this pressure. If the leading echelon becomes bogged down by a stubborn defense which cannot be bypassed, then a transition to a hasty attack takes place by this leading echelon. Once committed, the attacking echelons will not be relieved or reconstructed, but are ordered to press the assault, and other echelons are brought up to add weight to this attacking force. The seventh and final characteristic in threat is force destruct oriented. The threat offense is not designed to capture and/or hold key terrain, except as it aids in the total destruction of the enemy. Rapid rates of advance, constant pressure, and the willingness to use nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare has one aim: the total destruction of the opposing force. We have focused our attention on the characteristics of the offense. We will now address the types of combat actions as envisioned by the threat. These combat actions are the meeting engagement, the offense, and the defense. Threat tacticians divide the offensive doctrine into the attack and its exploitation and the pursuit culminating in encirclement. The offensive is conducted by maximizing maneuver, firepower, and shock action. Although the meeting engagement is offensive in nature, the threat, in order to emphasize its importance, recognizes it as a separate form of combat. The threat further identifies three basic formations as used by their ground forces: the march, the approach march, and combat formations. The meeting engagement can be conducted from any of these two formations, the march or approach march formation. The threat describes the march as an organized troop movement in column formation on roads or cross country. Threat trains his troops to be ready for action at any time. If possible, the march is conducted at night or during limited visibility. The speed at which the march is conducted is dependent upon many factors: the enemy, the terrain, the weather, the makeup of the column, the condition of the vehicles, and the level of driver training. Both the interval and the speed of the vehicles are increased when crossing a contaminated area or when under air attack. In motorized rifle marches, halts of 30 minutes occur every 2 to 3 hours. During the second half of the march, a long halt of 2 to 4 hours is held. Long halts of this type are not held at night so as to maximize use of the hours of darkness. We have discussed some of the characteristics of the march. Now we will turn our attention to the approach march. When contact with the enemy is imminent, threat units will deploy from march into approach march formation. Regiments, battalions, and companies may deploy laterally and in depth and with means of reinforcement. They may deploy in line, echelon right or left, wedge or inverted wedge. Now that we have a basic understanding of the two march formations, I will discuss what is viewed by the threat as the most common offensive action on the battlefield: the meeting engagement. The purpose of the meeting engagement is to allow the threat commander to seize or regain the initiative over his opponent. This is done through speed, aggressive action, and the coordination of all arms, despite the lack of a detailed knowledge of the enemy's disposition. The ultimate goal of the meeting engagement is to disorganize and divide the enemy, then destroy this divided force. There are two phases in this meeting engagement: the movement to contact and the hasty attack. Threat forces presently stress continuous recon, immediate decisions of the battalion commander to report and maneuver his force, and beating the enemy to the punch with fire and maneuver, which will be well organized and combat supported. The movement to contact phase, which is the first phase, is a march column designed to move large forces rapidly while providing reconnaissance and security. It allows threat forces to move quickly into a hasty attack. The hasty attack, the second phase, is launched directly from the march column and is designed to capitalize on the shock action in order to seize the initiative. How does the threat commander organize this march? Based upon the factors of MET, the regimental commander will allocate tanks, artillery, air defense, anti-tank weapon systems, engineers, and chemical units to his battalions. The battalion commander will then organize their units for the march. Attachments are normally made prior to the beginning of a march. Due to the need to react decisively and quickly, and because the meeting engagement may be conducted against a force equal to or greater than their own, threat battalion commanders normally place attached tanks, artillery, and anti-tank forces near or at the head of their march columns. Acting as the regiment's advance guard battalion, the Motorized Rifle Battalion has the mission of ensuring the uninterrupted movement and the security of the regimental main body, the remaining 2 battalions. It must also prevent enemy reconnaissance elements from reaching the main body of the regiment, and most important of all, ensure favorable conditions for the main body of the regiment to deploy. Once the mission has been issued by the battalion commander, the Advance Guard Battalion will organize their combat elements into the following units. Forward of the Advance Guard will be elements of the Regimental Reconnaissance Company. This element will consist of 1 PT-76 or BMP-R reconnaissance vehicle, 1 BRDM-2 scout vehicle, and 1 motorcycle. The reconnaissance element is used to provide early warning to the Advance Guard Battalion's reconnaissance force of the regiment, and is normally 2 to 3 hours forward of the lead echelon of the Advance Guard Battalion. They may be closer if the tactical situation dictates their necessity to provide better protection to the regiment. The first element of the Advance Guard Battalion to come in contact with friendly forces will be the Reconnaissance Patrol. The Reconnaissance Patrol will consist of at least 3 BMPs and possibly 1 tank. Following this force, by approximately 3 to 5 kilometers, will come the point element. The point will consist of 3 BMPs, 1 tank, 1 BTR-60 engineer vehicle, and 1 BRDM RKH chemical reconnaissance vehicle. As you can well ascertain, the engineer assets and chemical reconnaissance assets are well forward to provide immediate information to the battalion's main body. Following the point at a distance of 1 to 1.5 kilometers, you will find the vanguard or the advanced detachment. This, in reality, is the remainder of the lead company which the battalion commander has designated as the advanced detachment. Its elements consist of 2 tanks, 4 BMPs, 2 BTR-60 engineer vehicles, 3 BRDM-2 Sager vehicles, and 6 M1974 SP 122 millimeter howitzers, plus an assorted fire direction control and fire support vehicles. Behind the advanced detachment at 5 to 10 kilometers is the remaining elements of the battalion. These elements will consist of the battalion headquarters group, normally 1 or 2 BMPs, 1 BTR-60 command post vehicle, 1 tank company commander, 1 artillery vehicle. Following the headquarters group, you will find the following elements: an ADA platoon consisting of 2 to 4 ZSU-23-4s, an ATGM battery consisting of 6 BRDM-2 Sager vehicles. 1 platoon of this battery is forward in the advanced detachment. You will also find an artillery battalion minus 1 battery of SP 122 millimeter howitzers. This battery will be found in the advanced detachment or vanguard. Following the artillery battery is the 2nd Motorized Rifle Company. It will have a tank platoon of 4 tanks attached to it. It has 1 platoon acting as a flank guard. This flank guard element will be located on likely enemy avenues of approach into the main body. They will normally be located between 1 to 1.5 kilometers from the route of march. The 3rd Motorized Rifle Company has also an attached tank platoon and will have 4 tanks in that platoon. You will also find that there will be a platoon of BMPs that has been attached out or detached out from the Motorized Rifle Company that will either be providing flank security or rear security for the battalion main body. Trailing the 3rd Motorized Rifle Company will be the services elements of the battalion. This grouping of vehicles will vary from 40 to 50, depending upon the size of this motorized rifle battalion and its attachments. Approximately 3 kilometers behind the services element of the main body will be the rear guard of the battalion. This element will consist of 1 platoon of BMPs and possibly 1 tank. As you can see, the target killing requirement on a company team becomes an extremely difficult task. What will really oppose our forces will be at least 13 tanks, 31 BMPs, 4 BTR-60s, of which 3 are engineer vehicles, 9 BRDM-2 Sagger systems, 18 self-propelled 122mm howitzers, and 4 ZSU-23-4s, anti-aircraft guns, 1 PT-76 or BMPR, 1 BRDM-2 scout vehicle, and 30 to 40 service vehicles. Now that we have a basic understanding of what the threat advance guard looks like, let's see how this force will move into a specific company battle position. Our company team consists of 2 tank platoons, 1 mech platoon, and 1 tow section. The 2 tank platoons are located here, here, and the mech platoon is located here, and the tow section here. As you see the reconnaissance force of the regiment entering into our sector of responsibility, this force is trying to locate our forces and determine what strength we are in. If we fire on this force, we must be able to destroy it totally. We may be allowed to let it pass and be serviced by other elements well within our defense area. Now, approximately 3 hours behind this reconnaissance force, the next element of this advanced force will appear on the battlefield. This will be the reconnaissance patrol. When the reconnaissance patrol is within range of our systems, we can engage. We should attempt, if all possible, to destroy this element at one time. Time now becomes an important factor to you in this battle position. You must realize that this force is being followed by other elements of the advance guard battalion. The immediate trailing element is the point. Normal speed for this force is 18 to 20 kilometers per hour. We know that the normal separation between the reconnaissance patrol that you are now in contact with and the point is 3 to 5 kilometers. We therefore can determine when the next element, the point, will reach our location. Using a time distance rate formula, we can ascertain the expected time of arrival of this force, the point. At 5 kilometers per hour, with a closure rate of 20 kilometers per hour, we can expect the point to arrive in 15 minutes of our initial contact with the reconnaissance patrol. Behind the point will come our next elements to be serviced in the vanguard. It will be approximately 1 to 1.5 kilometers behind the point. If we plan properly, we can separate the point from the vanguard by smoking and destroying these 2 elements separately. If we have caught the advanced detachment completely by surprise, we can expect to start servicing the main body of the battalion in 30 minutes after contact with the vanguard. The total time since contact with the reconnaissance patrol of the advance guard to the arrival of the main body is approximately 45 minutes. What are the sequences of event if the reconnaissance patrol is not totally destroyed? The reconnaissance patrol will have made contact with our defense. The recon patrol will report to the battalion its location and will attempt to determine where a bypass exists. The recon patrol will be up to 3 kilometers in front of the point of the advanced detachment lead company. The battalion advance guard will continue to move toward the contact. Within 18 minutes or less, the point of the advanced detachment will also make contact with our force. If no bypass has been found, the point will attempt to attack our force. If this attack fails, the point will assume a hasty defense and report your size and location to the main body. The advanced detachment will be located approximately 1 kilometer to 1.5 kilometers from the point and should arrive at the point's location in 3 minutes after the point has arrived and made contact. Before arriving, the company or the advanced detachment, vanguard, will attempt to go online and initiate some type of hasty attack. The artillery battery, which is part of the advanced detachment, would have stopped and would be delivering direct fire into your position. If the advanced detachment is stopped, it will assume a hasty defense and report to the battalion commander where his company is located and the status of that company. The advanced guards battalion's main body will be 5 to 10 kilometers from the advanced detachment, which is now stopped. At this point, 2 actions may take place. If bypass has been found by the reconnaissance patrol, the advanced detachment will be ordered to fix the enemy force, your force, by the battalion commander. The advanced detachment will launch limited attacks against your positions. The battalion commander will inform one of the other companies in the main body to assume the mission of the advanced detachment and bypass the company in contact. The artillery batteries of the battalion and its main body will have been ordered by the battalion commander to fire smoke so that the threat force can bypass. Once the battalion has bypassed your force, the threat company will disengage and move into the advance guard column, leaving the regiment and its second echelon battalions to attack and destroy your company. From initial contact through the bypass of your force, direct coordination would have been constantly carried out between the regimental commander and the advance guard battalion commander. Now, what are the actions of the battalion commander if the advanced detachment or vanguard is halted and a bypass cannot be found? Once the advanced detachment has made its hasty attack and has failed to overrun the enemy, it will report its status to the battalion commander and assume its hasty defense. If the reconnaissance patrol reports that no bypasses are available, then the battalion commander will determine how he will attack the defending enemy force. The main body of that advance guard battalion will be approximately 5 to 10 kilometers behind that advanced detachment that is now in contact with you. The battalion commander will maneuver his remaining 2 companies at approximately 2 to 3 kilometers from your force to attack with both companies online or initiate an envelopment with both companies attacking around the advanced detachment into either side of your defensive position. The advanced detachment company will continue to maintain pressure while this force is maneuvering. The artillery battery of the advanced detachment would have been firing in support of the advanced detachment since the advanced detachment had made contact. At 3 kilometers, the artillery batteries that are located in the main body of the advance guard battalion would have begun to support by firing on your position. We will now turn our attention to the remaining attacking companies of the main guard body. We have addressed these units as attacking with both companies on the same axis. You must remember that this force may be attacking through the vanguard, which has assumed a hasty defense, or maybe using an assailable flank into your battle position. We will first look at the Motorized Rifle Battalion and its assault against your battle position. This attack would have a frontage of 1.5 kilometers with a depth of approximately 1.3 kilometers. In the leading echelon, there would be 8 tanks, 4 for each of the motorized rifle companies. At 300 meters behind the tanks, this attacking force would be followed by the bulk of the BMPs of the battalion. There would be 20 of these BMPs, 10 per company. Behind the lead companies, you would be able to identify the battalion commander and the tank company commander and the command group. Near the command group would probably be either attached artillery of 12 122 millimeter SP howitzers and at least 4 ZSU 23-4s that would be carrying on protection measures for the artillery. Behind this last element would be the remainder of the ATGM battery, BRDM-2 Sagger vehicles. 6 of these vehicles would be located in Overwatch. The self-propelled artillery battery itself would be using direct fire against the battle position as it assaulted forward. We have now reached another area of grave concern for our force on this battle position. We must service the attacking force as far away from our position as possible, and at the same time, we must consider how long it will take the attacking force to close with our position. We must once again consider the closure rate. If the closure rate is 20 kilometers per hour and the distance approximately 3 kilometers, this means that the threat force can close on our position in 9 minutes. Besides looking at this, you must also determine where you will break contact with this attacking force. If the force closes within 1,000 meters of your position, he is only 3 minutes out from your location. At 1,500 meters, it will take the threat approximately 4 minutes and 30 seconds to close with your battle position if he maintains a 20 kilometers per hour speed. You must also bear in mind that the force that you have completely or in the process of serving is only part of the motorized rifle regiment that is following this advanced guard battalion. You could expect the main body of this force to appear approximately 30 minutes after your initial contact with the main body of the advanced guard. In the advanced guard battalion, you would have destroyed 31 BMPs, 13 tanks, 4 ZSU 23-4s, 4 BTR-60s, 1 BRDM RKH, 18 artillery pieces, and 9 BRDM-2 Saggers. You can win the first battle of the next war if you know what to expect from the threat. You do not have the luxury of learning his tactical doctrine on the battlefield. If you do this, you will surely lose. In order to destroy the threat force, you must know his potential for offensive combat. You must understand his capabilities and his limitations in order to beat him on the battlefield. Since the October War of 1973, the threat has been placing increased emphasis on the combined arms operations. He has made numerous organizational changes and tactical adjustments to increase the survivability of his attacking force. If you do not understand his doctrine, this could be your company team's last battle position.